it's Liz, and today I'm going to show you how to make paper roses. Like you can see, I made a bouquet of a dozen pink paper roses for a friend of mine who had a baby girl recently. So hopefully she won't see this video before I bring her her flowers. So you're going to start with several circles of paper. These are near life size. I would say just slightly smaller than a full-bloomed rose. 6 inches in diameter, 5 inches in diameter, 4 inches in diameter, 3 inches in diameter, 2 inches in diameter. So you start with the 6, the 5, and the 4, the 3 biggest, and those are all going to be done exactly the same. And the technique is similar to other things I've done in other videos that I have learned works very well. Fold each circle in half, then fold that half into thirds, which of course then gives you 6. And now what you're going to do with your wedge is you're going to cut out a petal shape. So you can use a template, or if you want, you can draw it on. I just kind of eyeball it because you're going to be curling your petals anyway, so if it's not perfect, no one's going to notice. Remember not to cut through the point, because that's going to hold your flower together. Well, I just kind of cut around. And then when I open it up, I kind of have that bathtub flower shape. Now you notice this one, I didn't, they're connected, these two petals. When that happens, you can fold it back up and recut that side, or you can just take the scissors and just kind of separate them like that, because again, they're going to be curled. So do that with the 3 big circles. Same thing, fold it into 6 and cut your petal shape. When I was in elementary school, I used to get bad grades on the art projects because apparently I'm not very skillful with scissors, and so my cuts, my shapes were always very jiggity and jaggedy, and my teachers would always be very upset with me. So I never got very good grades in elementary school. Everybody had to make the same pilgrim for Thanksgiving and the same jack-o'-lantern for Halloween, and mine never looked like anybody else's. I don't know how they got those scissors to work, to be honest with you. But one thing I have learned is, you get a cleaner cut if you turn the paper and not the scissors. And old habits die hard, and sometimes I forget, but basically turning the paper into the scissors will give you a better, less jiggity-jaggities, I guess, to use the technical term. Okay, so that's what you do with the 3 big. Now, for the next bigger circle, the 3 inch, you're actually going to fold that into quarters. So fold it into half, and then half again. And then you're going to cut your petal shape out of this wedge. So this one will only have 4 petals instead of 6. Okay? Now, in general, I'm not a big fan of glue dots. I find them to be unforgiving, and I almost never use them. I prefer glue sticks. However, for this particular project, I think that the glue dots will be the best for you, because you'll be able to move on to the next step without having to wait for glue to dry. If you prefer a glue stick, you don't like dots, or you don't have the dots, you will have to wait a considerable amount of time for the glue to dry before you move on to the next step. So you're going to glue them together, staggering them. Start with the biggest and then make your way up to the smallest. I also think that the glue dots are rather expensive, so If you're like me, I understand. But for this project, honestly, glue dots really make it very simple. Because the next step is to curl the petals. And what I use to curl the petals is I just use a cuticle stick because it's very small and it makes a very tight curl. And I've tried a pencil, but it's so fat, like they didn't stay as tightly curled as I like. What you're gonna do is you just curl each petal in pretty tight, pretty deep, because it's always easier to uncurl it than to go back later and curl it again. Starting from the bottom, I found leads to less recurling. Now you could curl them before you glued them together, but I've tried that method too, and I find that when I do that, I end up recurling probably about half of the petals because they just get kind of smushed and opened up because you're handling it a lot and you're pushing down on it. So anyway, you're going to go ahead and you're going to do that with every single petal. Okay, once you've curled them all, you can kind of uncurl ones that you find are a little too tight. I found that they kind of work themselves apart in general, so I try to leave them alone as much as I can. To make the middle part, I take the little 2-inch circle, I fold that one in half, and for this one I use a glue stick. And you glue them together. And it's a little cheesy what I do, but I found that it's effective and it's not terribly unaesthetic. I take my stick and I kind of curl at an angle. See, I kind of curl it into a tube. So it's kind of like that. And then I cut off most of it. I just cut off like the little tip. And then what I do is I stick a dot in the middle, very middle of my rose. And then I just take this kind of little curl and I just stick it on that dot. And that's how you make a paper rose. Now, if you want one like this that has a stem so you can put it in a vase, all I did was I bought, it's hard to see, this tiny little, it's floral stem wire from the craft store, and you can see in there maybe I have hot glued it to the base of the rose, and then that way it sticks, it stands up. I put it in the vase, I put a big bow in the vase, and then it says, like the love for your new baby, these paper roses will never die. Oh, what a wonderful heartfelt gift. Anyway, there you have it. Liz's non-patented, probably unoriginal, but easy peasy lemon squeezy paper roses. Thanks for watching.